Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. We will start the presentation. Okay. Can I control this? Oh no, not sure. Okay. So hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Projects, Events, and Festivals presentation. Um, the the screen went away. Give me 1 second. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. Okay, just to double check, can somebody send a send a raise hand or anything saying that they can see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I am so sorry for the delay, but thank you for your patience. Again, I just want to say thank you for coming to the Projects, Events, and Festivals workshop. So in this presentation it will be a presentation for both individuals and organizations, and then once we talk about so for the portion for individuals and organizations will be separately. We will talk a little bit about that more once we get to that portion. Um, just before we begin, I just want to give a land acknowledgement, recognizing the Nakatonk and Piscataway people, the first residents of the land that would become the District of Columbia. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that has led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Naugatuck and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider that many legacies of violence, displacement, and migration and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events, and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. So the mission of the district of the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. So we were first established in 1968. The DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities is a independent agency in the District of Columbia government that evaluates and initiates actions on matters relating to the arts and humanities and encourages programs and the development of programs that promote progress in the arts and humanities. CAH is the designated state arts agency for the District of Columbia and is supported primarily through the district government funds and in part by the National Endowment for the Arts. So, uh, just as a reminder, you can ask any questions in the chat, and we will try our best to answer all the questions in the chat, as well as any questions that pop up into our questions section. But most likely than not, I hope that we will be able to answer all the questions within the presentation. So a little bit about the program overview. Um, so for PEF, it is that we support Support for executing projects that promote arts and humanities activities to a diverse range of communities in DC. PEF encourages small, medium, and large projects that have a citywide impact, as well as those that represent community-based projects that are based on geographic location, common interest, or a shared identity. Projects may include concerts, visual art, exhibitions, literary readings, and festivals that feature dance, folk art, film, music, theater, and other arts and humanities activities. So the program goals are to provide access to high quality arts and humanities experience for all District of Columbia residents, increase quality of life by supporting a vibrant community identity through the arts and humanities, and stimulate the creative economy through investments in local artists and arts and humanities organizations. So we have a new question that is part of the PEF application, which is, what is the date for your planned performance, event, or festival? So we have this is the list for the unallowable costs. Please see the RFA for the complete listing, but to go over a few is the overhead, maintenance, and administration should not exceed 35% of the grant. No food or beverages, payment to auxiliary or affiliate organizations, tuition, awards, and scholarships, regranting, also known as subgranting, debt reduction, fundraising projects, expenses, equipment purchases over 25% of the grant award, expenses not directly related to the project, operational reserve, temporary or permanent public art projects, activities for youth, and funding to universities, foreign governments, or DC government agencies, including DCPS. So do we have any questions regarding what I just presented? You can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself.
Go ahead.
What do you mean by confused? That was put in the chat. Okay. Are you referring to this one? Oh, okay. So do you have a question or now you got the full picture? Okay. So it so there was a question saying youth exclusively or can youth be a part of the bigger project? So youth can be part of the project, but it should not be focused with youth. So for PEF projects, it tend to be for the greater public. So it cannot be just for youth. It would have to be for everyone, if that makes sense. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, I will.
Actually, one,
Okay.
and you may have already answered this, but so it can't be for youth. Can it be aimed at senior citizens?
Yes.
Okay, so it can be a project for senior citizens. All right. Oh, and I do have a follow-up question that. So I know it says you can't, I think, have auxiliary, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes in my presentations, I use a drummer or a musician. Does that exclude the use of the drummer or the musician?
No, it wouldn't include the use of the drummer. You can say that that is a contractor, that you contracted that service.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
When is this application due?
So the application is due April 22nd at 10 p.m.
Is this open to individuals as well, like artists, designers?
Yes, it is. So this presentation is both for PEF projects that are for individuals and also for nonprofit organizations.
Thank you.
Okay, and then just as a reminder, the application closes April 22nd at 10 p.m. And then just a little bit of information as to how you can access the grants portal. So you go to dcarts.dc.gov, you go to the tab that says programs, you slide down to grants, you scroll all the way down to where it says grant application portal. And then it will lead you to the grants portal. You will sign into the grants portal and sign into your account, or you will create an account. You will click on My Open Applications. And then you would select for a new application. And then you will fill out the eligibility questionnaire. And then you will press save and continue. For organizations, before you continue on, it's recommended to put your IEN number because your organization should pop up. Or it would pop up so you can put your organizational information if this is your first time applying. And then rather than compose your application responses in the grants portal, we recommend that when you get to the eligibility questionnaire, there's a little link that says preview. You can click for the preview for a downloadable or printable copy of the grant application, and we recommend to use this to compose your answers offline. And then once you complete it, you can copy and paste your application text into the grants portal. Does anybody have questions on the application?
Can we, does the online portal save your information and lets you log back in to complete it, or one must just complete it all at once?
Okay, so you should be able to save and complete your work, but we definitely recommend you saving it off of the grants portal just in case anything happens. It, also, there was a question that says, is there a limit to how long the project can expand? Okay, so the project can be for 1 year. So for this specific presentation, FY26. So from October 1st, 2025 up until September 30th, 2026, your project has to be completed. Okay, are there any other questions?
I heard you reference organizations. For individuals applying for grants, I presume the social security number will be in place for the IEN.
You can continue without putting the IEN number. I think for Social Security, for the IEN you can just put like 00000 or
Oh,
something similar to that.
all right, thank you.
Okay, and then moving forward, again, as a reminder, the application closes April 22nd, 2025 at 10 p.m. Tanya, it is your go.
Hello, so I'm Tanya, and I work with all the individuals applying to this grant. So moving forward with the presentation, we want to just talk a bit about the PEF application review and scoring. The applications will be reviewed and scored by a panel of arts and administrative professionals according to these criteria, each representing a percentage of the total score. So arts, humanities, and content and/or merit is 40%. Organizational project management is 30%. District impact and evaluation is 15%. And IDEA is 15%. Next slide. So breaking down the arts, humanities, and content and/or merit, applicants' work samples and support materials such as brochures or articles, letters of support, etc. Demonstrate their knowledge of and their skills in the content area. That's 20%. The applicant demonstrates the use of personnel with subject matter expertise such as arts administrators, humanities professionals, teaching artists, educators, professional artists to plan and implement project content. That's the additional 20%. Next slide. Organization/project management, 30%. The applicant demonstrates the appropriate oversight, financial controls, and governance to deliver its services and programming. That's 15%. The applicant has the necessary expertise and personnel in place to deliver its services and programming. That's the additional 15%. Next slide, please. So for district impact and evaluation, which is 15%, the breakdown is as follows. The project demonstrates the ability to reach a reasonable number of district residents and or visitors. The applicant demonstrates a commitment to hiring DC-based artists and humanities professionals where applicable to deliver arts and humanities content. The applicant includes evaluation strategies that will measure both project impact and effectiveness and participant engagement. Next slide. So IDEA, which is 15%, the project demonstrates an experience that is inclusive and diverse, either through project content or personnel involved in delivering the project. The project design demonstrates a commitment to engage all participants by ensuring equity and access. Consider factors such as cultural, socioeconomic, geographical, physical, and intellectual ability. The applicant outlines a plan for current and or future adjustments to the project based on the evolving needs of the community and or how the project supports the applicant's evolving goals. Next. So some writing tips. Keep a copy of your scoring criteria nearby when writing and write to the criteria. Please avoid buzzwords and hyperbole. If claims are made in the application, back them up with support materials and work samples. Ask someone outside of the organization to read the narrative responses and give you feedback. Give a complete picture of your organization and its work. Use accurate data in your application when available and where appropriate. Next. So, do we have any questions just on what I covered? If not, we will move on with the presentation.
I do.
Sure. Hi, Jen.
Thank you. Hi. I am hoping to involve a significant number of writers, filmmakers, and visual artists in my project, say 15 total. And I see that one of the evaluation criteria is that, understandably so, you want as many of those as possible to be from the district proper. How many, but a lot of artists also live in the surrounding areas, obviously. And I'd like to incorporate at least a few of those. So if, like, what's your recommendation in terms of percentage of district-based artists in that instance?
Yeah, so I think the overall goal is that this grant is for district residents. So we understand that people live right outside the district many times because of the cost of living.
Sure.
But your event or your project should be focused on district residents. So I think if you have a good balance between both, you should be fine. It's just
Okay.
that we don't want your project to be focused on, I don't know, right outside, I don't know,
Right.
DC, but you live in DC, so you're going for a DC grant, but the impact isn't happening for district residents or
So
visitors.
like the final, so if most of the artists are from our district residents and the culminating exhibition is in DC, that would probably be acceptable.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we move on to more technical stuff? And then right after the technical stuff, we'll break out and have a deeper dive for individuals and organizations separately. All right, Lucy, next slide, please. All right, so required document uploads. We're going to review work samples, supporting materials, and business documents. Next slide. So for documents of all kinds, please save and upload in PDF file format. Next slide. So PEF is what we call it over here, Performance Events and Festival uploads to support your narrative. So support materials, up to 3 internally produced items. That could be curriculum, strategic plans, marketing materials, up to 3 externally produced items such as reviews, testimonies, letters of support, things of that nature. Work samples. See the work sample addendum in the RFA to determine materials that might be best to support your application. Next slide. Work sample content. So panelists review only within the 4 corners of the application. They are not expected to click on outside links or content. This includes your website. This may not be seen by your reviewers. Websites, online articles, social media posts, they can all be screenshot and attached as an image, but is often an insufficient work sample. So please submit a website only if it's an essential part of your project. Next slide. So 2-step process for media uploads for work samples and support materials. So direct uploads to the media library. So this includes things like YouTube, Vimeo, MP4 video, photos, and documents. And then we have a way to attach it to the application from the media library, and we'll go into that. Next slide, please. All right, so direct uploads. So link directly from your YouTube or Vimeo, for example. Please check that the recording is not a secret or has a password. Title your work right there in the box as you see. This is a great place for time codes or passwords. Next. All right, so you would go to My Closed Applications. This is how you attach to your application. And then you would go down to Attach from your library. So you first upload everything to your library, and then you could pick and choose what you want to share from your library. So after you add your materials to your media library, you need to attach them to the application. This will open a pop-up window. You can click on the items you want to attach to your application. For images, they will not view in order of the way you attach them. They will sort alphabetically. So please note that and make that adjustment if it is something that you want people to see in order. Next slide. Double check your uploads. Many times there are people who think they upload something and it's working and they haven't done the work to double check it. So just double check your work, make sure that your uploads are there and that everyone can view what you want them to see. Next. All right, some grant manager tips for work samples and uploads. Review panelists are required to review each applicant's work samples. However, they are not guaranteed to review your work samples beyond the recommended number. Clearly label and/or describe your work samples and document so the panelists can identify what they are reviewing. Give reviewers the information they need to best understand your work sample or support material. Include samples of similar projects completed to illustrate your ability to execute the proposed project. Next. For audio submissions, audio files only play from start to finish. Panelists are unable to scan, rewind, or skip through uploaded audio files. For best results, edit the audio clip to feature exactly what you want the panelists to review. You can use the video options for audio files. The Vimeo and YouTube comes with much more viewing flexibility. For audio submissions with visual components, consider submitting as a video clip instead. Next. So screenshots, screen capture for online content. There are keyboard shortcuts on PCs, Macs, and Chromebooks for taking a screenshot. You could save the screenshot as a PDF or JPEG. The Snip and Sketch app is another option for capturing online content. You could download any online reviews, articles, or programs and save those as PDFs as well. Next slide. All right, so we are about to go into breakout sessions. So if you are individuals, you will raise your hand if you're able to here, and we will put you in a room for performance events and festival grantees who are individuals. And if you are an organization, you would stay here and Lucy will continue her presentation.
Yes, and then also if you know how to, you can go to the breakout rooms yourself if you are able to, but please raise your hand.
Excuse me, I'm not sure how to raise my hand in the chat.
Okay, I got you, Baba C.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, I don't know how to raise my hand. I don't know. I'm probably doing something wrong, but I'm an individual.
Me either. I'm trying to figure it out also.
okay, and then the first person was Mikey, right?
It's Mickey. Yeah,
Oh, Mickey. Oh, I'm sorry.
no
Mickey.
problem.
Okay, something should pop up saying to go to the room.
Okay, John.
And am I missing anyone here? Okay, okay, Fernanda, please answer the question. So, Danielle answered part of the question in the chat where you asked that you are a 509A. So one of the requirements for the PEF-O application is that you will need your IRS determination letter for the 501c3. So if you do not have that, I would recommend you applying as an individual. And Tanya, I think two individuals can submit. Submitting the same project is not guaranteed to receive funding. Applicants are reviewed for individuality. Okay. So Fernando, did you want to stay with organizations or did you want to go for individuals? And is there anyone else within this group who needs to go to individuals?
Yes, USN, I need to go to individuals.
Okay. My last call. Okay, user. Okay, I do not see any more hands up, any more messages. Okay, so I will begin. Okay, so starting in with the project events or festivals, the eligibility for organizations. Please see the RFA for the complete listing. So organizations may apply if they meet the following: be incorporated as a nonprofit with a federally designated tax exemption status under section 501c3 dated at least 1 year prior to the application deadline date. Demonstrate that 100% of the project deliverables occur in DC. Register and comply with the regulatory requirements of the following agencies. So the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, DC Chief Financial Officer, Office of Tax and Revenue, excuse me, the Department of Employment Services, the United States Internal Revenue Services, or IRS. You also must be in good standing with the CAH if you are a current grantee and then have an active board of directors. You must also be headquartered and have a principal office located in the District of Columbia, as demonstrated by the address on the organization's official IRS Form 990. Please note that the CAH does not allow post office boxes and the addresses of a board member or volunteers as evidence of the primary business address. And then just going a little bit about the requirements for festivals. So the organizations awarded funds in the CAH FY25 operational supporting grant are prohibited from applying to the CAH FY25 PEF. Applicants are prohibited from submitting applications for projects that feature temporary or permanent public art. Applicants are prohibited from submitting applications for projects that provide activities for children or youth. Eligible projects by individuals are projects that work independently of the applicant's affiliated organization. If funded, all applicants are required to purchase liability insurance within 30 days of award notification. Obtain a certification of citywide clean hands and propose planning and implementation fully carried out in the District of Columbia. So going a little bit about the festival requirements, festivals may apply if they meet all the following. So anticipated festival numbers must align with the district mandated guidelines for public gatherings. Programming must comprise of at least 6 hours. Programs must be publicly advertised and open to the general public. The festival may not be a block party, fundraiser, or charity event. Funding may be used for project expenses only, and all festival activities must comply with DC permits, policies, and safety requirements. I'm going to go a little bit over the required document uploads for PEF-O. So you will need to upload the Certificate of Clean Hands, Statement of Certification, IRS Form W-9, IRS 501c3 Letter of Determination, Organizational Demographics Overview Form. This inclusion of the form is not required at the time of the application, but may be required of each applicant prior to the award notification. The IRS 990, the most recently submitted, should contain signatures of the organization's representative and the tax preparer. We also require resumes of key personnel. Examples include artistic, managing executive directors, art educators, etc. Provide roles, areas of responsibility, and home addresses. Panelists must be able to assess the skill level of the artists and administrators involved in the work to be created, exhibited, or taught. You must also include a list of the current board of directors. Please provide the board roles, responsibilities, and home addresses and/or wards if they live in the district. You also need to provide the balance sheet from the most recently completed fiscal year, current organizational budget as approved by the organization's board of directors. You also need to include a profit and loss statement from the organization's most recent completed fiscal quarter and a certificate of liability insurance. It must be current. It must include a waiver of subrogation naming the district of naming DC government, and must include DC as the certificate holder. So for the PEF organization's financial picture, these required documents provide important context for the panel. So for the past, it'll be the 990 for the most recently completed fiscal year. Some may not have the most recent one, but we'll have to use the ones from the year before. The present will be the current organizational budget approved by your board of directors, and the future is the project and program section, which detail the projected costs of both the upcoming year and the grant and the year of the grant award. There are some grant restrictions for the PEF grantees. Organizations that have applied for the FY26 General Operating Support are prohibited from receiving FY26 Project Events and Festivals grant. If applying to the General Operating Support grant, please check with your grant manager about restrictions or requirements. The scope of work presented in a GOS application must not be duplicated by a project grant. A little bit of information to access the certificate of clean hands. It must be dated no more than 30 days prior to the application deadline. So you can apply for one at mytax.dc.gov. You download a PDF of your certificate. You will not be able, if you will not be able to attain a certificate of clean hands by the grant application deadline, please contact ACH grant manager for assistance. So if you have a certificate of clean hands issued after April 2020, you will look for the notice number, and you can go to mytax.dc.gov. You click on validate a certificate of clean hands. You follow the prompts using your notice number and the last 4 digits of your IEN. You follow the prompts until your certificate appears, and you click right and save your updated certificate as a PDF. And then this is for the statement of certification. The way that you fill this out is you fill in your organization's name, you check for 501c3, you complete, then you complete the address, you put the complete address, you spell out Washington, D.C., you include the zip code, and the address must match your W-9 and what is in the grants portal. Please include the correct grant program and fiscal year. So if you're applying for if you're applying for PEF-O, please include FY26 PEF-O. A fillable PDF form is available at dcarts.dc.gov. And then going to the last page of the statement of certification, you complete the highlighted areas. For the title, it is optional. But for the signature, it must be an ink or verified e-signature, not a script font. Typed in name or a signature-like font will be rejected. Information on this document must match the W-9 and the grant application. And then going on to the requirements for the certificate of liability insurance. The description of operations box should include the following language: the District of Columbia, the government of the District of Columbia and its officers, employees, agents, and volunteers are named as additional insured. You ask your insurer to include or send a written waiver of subrogation against the government of the District of Columbia and its officers, employees, agents, volunteers, contractors, or subcontractors. And the certificate holder box must include District of Columbia, DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, our address, which is 200 I Street, Southeast Washington, DC. Zip code 2003. Our suite is 1800. And attention to insert your grant manager's name. And then going on to the IRS Form W-9, it must be the March 2024 version. The name must match your name in the CAH grants portal, diffs, if you have a diffs account, and other application documents. You must check the correct box in section 3. Your address must be in the District of Columbia, must match your address in the CAH grants portal, and PO boxes again are not accepted. And then for part one, where it says taxpayer identification number, you will put in your IEN number. And then again, for signatures must be ink or manual or verified electronic with date stamp dated in 2025. No font script will be accepted, and you must save the W-9 as a PDF. Again, a fillable PDF copy is available at dcarts.dc.gov. Okay, some grant manager document tips. The statement of certification, do fill out a new statement for each grant application. We do not recommend reusing an old file with a prior grant application. E-signatures, investigate available tools for your organization. DocuSign, Adobe, and others have free tools. Certificate of insurance, ask your grant manager for a sample of the accord form that includes the necessary language and placement required by the District of Columbia. You can send this to your insurance representative to demonstrate exactly what you need. The certificate of clean hands, your grant manager is required to check your organization's status multiple times during the grant cycle. Please contact the Office of Tax and Revenue. If your status comes up as non-compliant, PDFs, upload documents as PDFs. There are scanning apps, and the Notes app on iPhones allow you to scan and save images as PDFs. There are free online tools for converting JPEGs and other files types to PDFs. Do we have any questions? I know that I went through a lot. I need to drink a little bit.
Lucy, I've got a couple of questions. One is going back, I discussed this with you, but I just want to kind of clarify with regards to the evaluation work. So our festival's now scheduled to occur on October 4th. So it's like right after the start of the budget year on October 1st. So basically, I will be charging for or asking for some payment for my organizing and administrative work from October 1st to October 4th. And then afterwards, there is the process of kind of like assembling the materials and reporting impact. And as I recall our conversation, um, we cannot include in the grant application the reporting that we do to DC to the commission. But if we do public reporting of the impact of the festival and its arts components, that's included in, we can include that in the grant. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so one, as I've been looking through the application, one question I had was, we have two components to the arts at the festival. One of them is a democracy wall. So it's a DMV Democracy Festival is what the whole festival is called. And that festival has these two art components. One of them is this democracy wall, which will have kind of artists to kind of curate the people drawing and writing in answer to questions. But then, and that's going to happen throughout the festival. But then we have another component, which is essentially a comedic arts performance. Um, and uh, and that's just for an hour during the festival. And I'm just wondering, like, the application asks us to define like what kind of artist are we, what kind of institution, and so on. And for the artist, because it's two kinds of arts, I'm wondering which one should we go with? Should we go with the arts that last throughout the festival, or the one that's just for an hour? And my inclination, I guess, is that we should go for the one that lasts throughout the festival when we're checking that box, what kind of artist?
So for the question on what to check, I think it's more of like what better fits like what you're advocating in your proposal. Um, I recommend I guess like I recommend like viewing it as a panelist. So like if you see that it says for like performance arts and your application also has like another type of art to that like you would find a way how to advocate for that. Like as a panelist, somebody was like, okay, well you put in performance art, and then I'm seeing things that aren't performance art.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just look at it and be like, oh, okay, well like how would a panelist view it? How would they interpret it? And try to write your proposal in that sense.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, I mean, we have to choose, like the application forces
Mhm.
us to choose one kind of artist, art type. So we'll just go with one, but explain in the application, there are two arts performances happening at the, or two arts components to the festival.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And last question for you. I had trouble figuring out when I was at the application site how to download all the questions.
Okay. So basically, when you go to the grants portal, and then like you start applying, you click for organizations. So when you go there, there should be like right next to organization a little like icon and a link that says preview. That's where you download all the. So like when you click preview, that's where you download all the questions.
Yeah, so that for some reason just came out, and I don't know if anybody else on this call had the same issue. So I did click the preview button. It opened up a window, but that window was entirely white, and I wasn't able to escape from that window, and so I had to turn off my computer, turn it back on because I simply couldn't get out of the window. So I'm wondering if there's an issue with that. Because otherwise, once you go beyond that preview window, I didn't see any other place where we could download all the questions.
Um, so you should so when the pop-up window like comes up, is there anything says that like you should save to your computer or like if download? Because when I tried to do it earlier today, that's what it said. Because I know what you're talking about. It's just a white screen. It kind of it caught me off guard too. But like I was able to download it. But if you are not able to, I will check into that. And
Yeah. So all I had was a white screen. There was no option to download, and I had to, as I said, turn off my computer. And now when I enter the portal for the application process, there's no indication anywhere where you can download the application materials.
Okay, you said that when you enter the grants portal process, there's no indication where you can download. Yeah, again, like the only place that you can find the questions and answers would be in that in that little section where it says preview.
Yeah, yeah. So if that's the case, basically that was just a one-time thing. When I opened the portal, it's no longer there. There's no way to otherwise download. And I'm just wondering if you guys have, I mean, clearly the system has its problems, and that's just a problem, and you probably can't fix that quickly. So if that's something that cannot be fixed quickly, is there just a way to PDF any applicants on request? A copy of all the questions for the PEFO.
Yeah, I don't mind like if you email me, I don't mind sending you the questions and answers if you're not able to access it. Um,
Right.
yeah. Also, we also recommend trying different browsers. I know like the one that works the best for me for the grants portal is Chrome. Some people within my office also use like I'd say the mandatory Microsoft Edge, but that is another way that there might be a workaround for it. But
Yeah.
again, you can just email.
Yeah,
Oh,
I use Chrome, but I'll send you a request for the questions. Thanks.
okay. And Robert, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, is it okay if I share my screen for a second?
Yes,
Hopefully
I
this
think it
is
works.
the correct screen. I'll make sure. Uh, this one. All right, so let me know if everyone can see my screen.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go to my old map to get a first glance of like actively looking at for applications, but also what's it called? Try to find where that gets pulled. Cause I just did it right then and there. Oh, move that way. New application on. That's new application in French. Just kidding, it is not. All right, so this was what we were talking about with the preview. Then where is the path? Oh yeah, I already did that. I'll just do I'll do individuals just for now. So when I click preview, this is the thing that you were talking about, but on my Chrome browser, it simply showed that it was downloaded. So I checked my files, and that's where I found the question upload. So it might have been on your computer, just it didn't like pop up and actually said that. So double check if that had happened to you, Paul. But because I know in the past it would have said something appeared, but
Yeah, you know what?
I have so many documents on the same thing.
I think you're right.
But,
I think I found. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I am unmuted. I did find it in my downloads. It just. Yeah, so sorry, Lucy. But yeah, it just wasn't clear that it had downloaded because it just like was a white window I couldn't get out of.
No, thank you for bringing attention to that because I was very concerned.
we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any more questions? Does anybody have any more questions?
I did have another question, but I'm
Okay.
trying to think of it. And hold on a second. It's because it's not coming to my head and I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I'm looking on new video here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was trying to write things down, and I just figured it'd be easier because it ended up being about 2 paragraphs, and that was not going to be helpful. Um, so I think that some of the issue, like some of the questions I had, were just related to that time frame of some of the paperwork and requirements as our organization was incorporated in Wisconsin, but we've been operating most of the events we do here for 2 years. And we've been working sort of on stuff with like World Pride and Capital Pride, with me being also a part of that. And I think some of it has just been, are we really able to kind of go forward with it as part of our organization, or should we try to, again, request, maybe Capital Pride to do it? And it's just coming from me as somebody who, like, we're an all volunteer organization. We've done, of course, many national events before, but most of us are disabled, trans, who have lost jobs. We have very limited bandwidth right now, so it's pretty overwhelming to probably, I guess, over the last like 2 years or so to try to even make this happen of any kind of funding. People who have from our organization really put so much of their own things in. A couple of these folks working for me on volunteer basis have really put themselves in circumstances. So I'm just trying to make sure that we do things, you know, for my end as the only person who really can write grants, like the correct way, just kind of make sure that we can do the project the way we want to, in a way that's it's not gonna like overwhelm folks. So I'm just wondering what the best route you think would be.
Okay. So, oh wait, for some reason, but are you a 503?
Yes.
Do you have do you have the letter that says that you are in DC?
Well, no, we are incorporated in Wisconsin, but some of that has been some of the issue, um, getting the paperwork transferred over. I mean, admittedly,
Conversation. I put in that you can email me at lucy.hernandez1 at dc.gov, or I also put my little bookings page if you just want to directly just have a meeting with me, and it has all my availability since it seems like it will be a longer conversation.
yeah. And I just said I'm absolutely willing to. It's just at this stage, bandwidth, also a trans person working for the federal government, I am very emotionally overwhelmed right now. I just if it's not going to be successful, I just really just I have to make some decisions on my end. So yes, maybe we'll yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions?
Dylan, good luck. And
Thank you.
my heart is out. Yeah. My heart's with you, and I'm sure others here likewise. A question, the question I had, Lucy, is following up on our conversation about, so charging tickets is not allowed because that's considered fundraising. But are we allowed to have like tables for food and for like democracy t-shirts, the festival t-shirts and that kind of thing that we sell to people at the festival?
So it depends on what your grant proposal is. If your grant proposal is to provide funding for the entertainment part of the festival, then you should be allowed. Then you, of course, you're allowed to have all the other, like, you can have the tabling and things like that. But if you want to incorporate it into your grant proposal, it would not be allowed.
Gotcha. Okay. So, right. So separately, it would just be separate from the arts component. Okay.
Yeah. So like if you want to be funded for the performances, of course it's allowed because what you're funding is the performances.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? No hand raises. Okay. Um. So, oh my God, I forgot to share. I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay. So we also have live chats with with a CH grant specialist. The next one is April 11th from 2 to 3, and then our last one will be April 18th And 2 to 3, here is where you can talk to all of our grants, all of our grant specialists that currently have the grant open. So it'll be GOS, East Arts. I will be representative for the project events and festivals will also be there. If you have a burning question, and you have time on Friday to hop in. Just a small plug that the CAH needs grants panelists. The grants panelists are responsible for the following tasks: attend virtual trainings or view a training video about 60 to 90 minutes of material, review assigned applications, work samples, evaluations thoroughly prior to attending the panel meeting, make objective assessments based on funding policies, grant guidelines and application evaluation criteria. Decisions should be free of bias and not self-serving. Attend a day-long virtual panel meeting to review and rescore all assigned applications. CAH maintains a database to help identify and select panelists. Panelist application information is only used for statistical and diversity inclusion purposes and is not shared with any third parties. Inclusion to this database does not guarantee selection for the panel service. Select the panelists should have expertise gained through involvement in the arts and humanities. This includes but not limited to artists, art administrators, art educators, gallery professionals, curators, and art critics. There is a time commitment. Those selected to serve on the review panel will have 3 to 4 weeks to review a maximum of 25 to 30 applications. CAH estimates that pre-panel review of applications take roughly 20 to 30 hours before the day of the panel. Review panel meetings generally last 4 to 7 hours with breaks and currently take place online via video conference software unless otherwise noted. Panelists are appointed to one panel per year for a maximum of 3 consecutive years. There is a little bit of compensation. Panelists will receive a $250 gift card. Just another thing to note is that if you are applying as an organization, you can still be a panelist, but you cannot panel for organizations, but you can panel for individuals if you choose to become a grant reviewer. Again, just want to note that the application closes April 22nd, 2025 at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Incomplete or late applications or applications that do not follow instructions and guidelines will be deemed ineligible for review and funding. Prospective applicants should read through the request for applications, also known as the RFA, completely before submitting the application. Applicants must be up to date with reporting requirements for prior CAH grants. If you are not sure of your reporting status, please contact a CAH grants manager. Applications are reviewed and scored by a panel of art professionals, and award amounts may vary. Do we have any questions on this?
One quick question. So all the panelists are required to be, the people who grade these or evaluate these applications are required to be art professionals.
Yes. So another sense is like within the art profession is that you are aware of the art, you have knowledge of the art. Also, you even within the art sphere, like let's say that you are the accountant within the arts agency. So you have knowledge of the arts and also of how a budget works, how an organizational budget works, how it looks, things like that.
Gotcha.
We just want to make sure that within the panels that there are people who know the art, that it's not a thing where a random person is the reviewer and they accidentally score your application a 30 because they don't have any experience. We just want to make sure that we are very thorough in our process. Other than that, do we have any other questions? Okay. So the CAH grant staff are available to review your PEF application materials for compliance and completion up to 1 week prior to the deadline. So for us, it will be April 15th. Here are your contacts. So your contacts for organizations, because you are all organizations, would be me. My email is lucy.hernandez1@dc.gov. Please do not forget the one. If not, I will not receive the emails. And our office hours is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you for joining us today. Please check your email for a follow-up survey. Your input helps us improve our workshops.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. So April 15th is the last day at which you can receive applications for review is what?
Yes.
Gotcha. Thanks. See you.